Hi y'all, welcome to week 5 of your distance learning. Remember that this week is going to operate a little differently in terms of assignments. So on Monday and Tuesday, where I'm going to have 2 separate video lessons, this video and then another one after it. This video is going to cover solving exponential equations, and then Tuesday's video is going to cover solving log equations. So watch those 2 on Monday and Tuesday. On Wednesday, there are practice problems that are labeled in your packet as practice. On Wednesday, I want you to take some time and go through those. They won't be graded. I just want to be sure that you're checking that you understand. Also on Wednesday, the week 4 reflection questions will have the keys posted on Monday for those reflection questions, but on Wednesday, your feedback form will be due. So that means that the original work that you did for the week 4 reflection questions, you should be going through that and correcting your mistakes and holding on to that paper. And then on Wednesday, a separate Google form will go out and it'll ask you to upload your corrected reflection questions. And that's like the second grade that we're going to take for week 4. So for week 4, you have to have done the original reflection questions and answered those in the Google form. And then on Wednesday, you're going to upload your corrected reflection questions based off of the key that was posted today into a Google form as well, okay? And that's due on Wednesday, so be sure you're getting that done, okay? And then Thursday and Friday, you have those 2 days to work on the reflection questions from week 5, okay? So let's take a look at the solving exponential and log equations. We're going to start off with solving exponentials, okay? So you're going to go to the part of your notes that says solving exponential equations. We've got 3 examples there. We have already done this, but I just wanted to give you a refresher on how to do it because we kind of struggled with it when I originally taught it. Whenever you have a base, so you have the big number at the bottom here, and then they have exponents on them, and you see that there's a letter in the exponent, we can usually solve for that letter. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. So in the first example, notice that your base is 3 on both sides. It's the same on both sides. What you can essentially do is just cross them off. The reason you can do that is because if I take log base 3 of 3 raised to the x plus 2 and take log base 3 on the other side, remember that logs and exponentials are inverses of each other. So if I take a log of something that has an exponent on it, they essentially just kind of cancel each other out. So that's why those 2 are canceling. You don't have to show this step of taking the log, but that's what's happening. So you're just going to set the exponents equal. So I canceled the bases of 3, and I'm going to set x plus 2, which is this exponent, equal to this exponent. Okay, and then you're going to solve that equation for x. So I want to get all the numbers on one side and all the letters on the other side. It doesn't really matter where you start. I'm going to add x to both sides. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And then divide both sides by 2. And you're going to get x equals 1/2, and that's your answer. Okay, not too bad. On example 2, this one is a little bit more tricky. We want to try to solve this without using a calculator. So I'm going to rewrite this, the 2/3 exponent. I'm going to write that in terms of a radical form. So that would become the 3rd root of x squared equals 64. I'm not going to rewrite the root on the right side because it doesn't have an exponent for me to turn into root form, okay? So thinking back to like your Algebra 2 knowledge and maybe other math classes that you've taken, your automatic instinct here is probably to raise both sides to the 3rd power. If I do that, I have no idea what 64 raised to the 3rd power is. It's some very large number. I would need a calculator for it. So I'm not going to take that approach in solving this problem just because I'm trying to avoid using a calculator. So instead what I'm going to do is keep it in that original form that was given to me in, And I'm going to get rid of the 2 that's on top of the fraction first. So the top part of the fraction, that number 2 there, I want to get rid of that number first. So to undo a 2 on the top of a fraction, you need to make it so there's a 2 on the bottom of a fraction for you to cancel out. So I'm going to raise this to the 1/2 power because I want to get the 2 that's on the top to cancel with the 2 on the bottom here. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to raise that to the 1/2 power. So now these are going to cancel, and I'm going to be left with x to the 1/3. If I multiply these two things together, I'm going to get 1/3 equals 64 to the 1/2 power. That's the same thing as saying, what's the square root of 64? Well, the square root of 64 is 8. So I'm going to put an 8 here. Now to get rid of that 1/3 exponent, I am going to raise both sides to the 3rd power. So these are going to cancel. So I get x equals 8 to the 3rd is 8 times 8 times 8. 8 times 8 is 64 times 8 is 512. Okay, so we should get x equals 512. Okay, on the next section, I've got 4x cubed equals 32. I want to get rid of everything that's around that x to the 3rd power first. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4 as my first step. 32 divided by 4 is 8. So I have x to the 3rd power equals 8. To get rid of that exponent of a 3, if I want to undo that, I can think of it 2 ways. I can either take the cube root of both sides, or I could write it as, I could multiply both of these by 1/3. You just have to know when you're doing this that that exponent of 1/3 is the same thing as the cube root symbol. So in this case, these two would cancel out. In this case, these two are going to cancel out. So this is going to say x is equal to the cube root of 8. And this one is going to say x is equal to 8 to the 1/3 power. Same thing as the cube root. Okay, the cube root of 8 means I need to find one number that is the same number I can multiply together 3 times to get to 8. And that's 2. So 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 again is 8. So the cube root of 8 is 2. So we have x equals 2. So on Wednesday, when you go to practice your problems, or if you wanted to go ahead and do it today just to kind of test yourself, problems on the practice problems in your packet that you should be looking at for this are the first 3 problems. The first 3 problems are all covering exponential stuff. So either go ahead and do those, or you can do them on Wednesday. The next video that you should be looking at on Tuesday is the solving log video. If y'all have any questions, please let us know. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.